Greetings to all of you and welcome to Gunjur Online once again. We are back and I say Ramadan Kareem or Ramadan Mubarak to all of you wherever you are, our listeners, our viewers. We are back again to discuss issues that affects our sub-region, especially SeneGambian region. And we had a very revolutionary election. That's more than election, but a revolution that happens and a referendum on the total sovereignty of Senegalese people taking charge of their own destiny. But we are going to have a dissect and a post-mortem of what happens, the implication for Senegal, the implication for Gambia specifically, and the whole of the sub-region. But to discuss these things, as always, your host, me, Ibrahim Janneh, and our guest today is Mr. Sulayman Ben Suwareh, as always. Welcome to Gunjur Online to dialogue with the youth. So, Brother Ben, your platform, welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ebrima. Thank you very much for always inviting me on this platform, discussing these very, very important and historic events. Thank you.
It's our honor, Brother Ben. Greetings to all our management and to our viewers once again. Today, we are going to discuss the current affairs in the SeneGambian region, specifically focusing on the Senegalese election that just took place. And we had the anti-established candidate, that a 44-year-old, Basiru Faye, Dimai Faye, a 44 years, swept to the polls, and now the would-be president of Senegal very soon. Brother Ben, the sovereignty of a nation resides in the people, unless the peoples know that how powerful they are. And it can only be the people that can liberate themselves. Nobody can liberate them, not their leaders, not the parliament and all those things. Can you go through that, inside of Senegalese election and what happens with the young candidates and the young established anti-establishment candidate that took power now in Senegal, supposed to be in power very, very soon? Go ahead, Brother Ben. What is your analysis?
Thank you very much, Ebrima. I'm trying to share the program, but I cannot just find it on I cannot just get it on Facebook to share it. Just a minute.
Okay, yeah. Once again, as we said, we had a lesson that was happening, a historical tour de force of Senegalese, politics, and a big lesson for Gambia specifically, for the sub-region, that no one can liberate the people but themselves. So for that being the case, we are going to have a post-mortem that discuss the issues that have affect Senegalese election and how this is going to spill over to the Gambia, and what can we learn, and the involvement of the youth in the Senegalese election, the campaigns, the uncompromised struggle for liberation, that to determine, who to manage, and the youths have to get involved to determine, who to manage the running of their country, the trajectory of their country. And that's a huge lesson. And it's also so to the leaders that you cannot cling to the power, to power for the rest of your life. Brother Ben, if you are ready, you
Yeah,
can get back.
yeah,
Welcome
I'm
again.
ready.
Yes, brother Ben, as we said, we have to analyze, what
Mhm,
happened in the journey, the uncompromising struggle of the Senegalese people, the
mhm,
determination of the youth,
mhm,
even though, we have a semi, dictator who was
mhm,
willing, to go to any
mhm,
length, but the strength of
mhm,
Senegalese people, their determination,
mhm,
some of their institutions, that stood, firm to make sure we
mhm,
have what we are having today in Senegal. What is
mhm.
your analysis of the whole situation? And we will come to the lessons that we can learn, especially for
Yeah.
dear motherland Gambia. Go ahead, bro.
Ibrahim, this is historic. It have never been done. That's in the world. Africa, for that, for that matter. Because what happened is a complete change. In a sense, that's what we're witnessing. It's a process. It just began. And a change of what? An establishment. And bringing in a new, an anti-establishment movement into government. Where these things happen, it normally happen in democratically. It have never happened. You have seen instances where a coup d'etat would happen, or a civil war will ensure, and an establishment is overthrown, and an anti-establishment or different forces would start to take over, assume power. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing on the assume of power, or just taking over power for now, it have to do a process to really establish that an anti-establishment have taken over, because the establishment are still active, and they will try to undermine, and they will try to come back to power in many other ways, just as what happened to Gambia in 2026. It's not an establishment that took over, but it was, different force that took over within the establishment. I mean, and but what happened now, after we witnessed that technically the same government, apart from the dictator, assumed power again, which this is something we'll learn later. But what happened in Senegal is this: democratically, it's normally the establishment that maintains this power, and they exchange, who controls the power among the political parties that are, establishment political parties. Just as you see in the United Kingdom, you have technically two-party states. You see in America, you have two-party states. You have seen in almost every country, Ghana is two-party states. And this was what was happening in Senegal until, when Macky Sall came. Macky Sall came from the establishment, and through, a disruptor, to hijack the anti-establishment and came into power. Macky Sall was an establishment. But this is the first time we have seen a political party, especially a new political party that have started from the grassroots, about just a decade, 10 years. In 10 years, the second time to attempt elections. They managed to succeed and win. And opposition have never win comfortably as they have. That's why we said this is a historic moment in the world, and it have taught, everybody how a new political party or an anti-establishment. I have seen in areas people say, "Oh, this is what Gambia did," but there's a difference. Gambia did it completely different, dealing with a dictatorship. This is dealing with what was termed as the Africa most developed democracy or mature democracy. But in the last three years of Senegal, that was really undermined, and we have seen how its institutions have been tested and exposed. But that does not, and that's another lesson to learn, where in countries that in a country that you have institutions that are functional. But again, it tells us that the people are, as the sovereign, are ultimately people who can determine the result or hold on or develop that democracy. If democracy is left to political actors alone, if democracy is left to establishment alone, it will not develop. And Senegal's democracy have been tested, and it has shown its maturity. It has exposed the weaknesses of institutions, and this is what determines what the next government does. And that will be going after the reforms and looking at all the weaknesses of those institutions that nearly capitulated to the executive, to make sure to restore the balance of power and make sure democracy thrive in Senegal.
This is unprecedented, as you said, and we know anything that happens in Senegal will consequently have impact on the Gambia, because we are so intertwined together, the two countries, especially of recent. But before we come to that, let's analyze the role of youth in Senegalese presidential election. If we do a Gambian perspective, when youths are struggling, they're on unemployment and all those things, but Gambians youth tend to be thinking politics is not theirs. They're just kind of hand over the struggle to somebody else, specifically elderly people and all those. And we choose to run away from what we should tackle head on. We have this perspective that our leaders, our parliaments, our politicians are going to come and revolutionize things for us. But it's only ourselves, in the case of Senegal, even though what happens to them, youths died, but they came out, they forced, they kind of, be in the security for Sonko when he was going through all these things. Can you give us a perspective on the role of Senegalese youth to bring these uncompromising changes, in Senegal that everybody is celebrating today?
That's a very important question, and I have seen in many instances Gambians are trying to grapple with this concept of the role the youth play and the catalyst that they can create in bringing about change. But Ebrima, it's just the lack of recognition. There's no change that can happen in any country, especially in developing Africa now, but even in the Western countries now, without the larger input of youths. Let me give you an example here. What made Obama possible? Part of it, instrumentally, it was the youths.
Yes.
And we have seen where youths are motivated and they will participate and they bring about change. And there are two things about this, the youth here. In Senegal, the average age is 19 years old. Then we can, I don't know the exactly percentage of the population, but the huge percentage of the population are children and youths. Now, another point is we have to understand not only the numbers of youths they have, but the influence that the youths can bring into the politics. Remember the energy youths have. You remember the knowledge that youths have in information technology. Remember, we are in a social media era where populations can be influenced easily by simple acts or little bit of time spent on social media. We have seen, for instance, Senegal National Radio and Television was not accessible for passive, but that did not stop passive to determine. And in fact, the general content that was on television stations were content generated from what activity passive did or not. We have seen where the government have tried to silence in many ways, but that does not stop the Senegalese, the Ousmane Sonko and the passive movement resonating to the people. Now, if a country have that much of population of youths, and we recognize the influence, the talent, and those youth have, we ask ourselves, why did not happen before? Now, Actually, it did happen. It depends who capitalized and used the youths for the change. When when finally the first time the opposition won an elections in Senegal was when Abdoulaye Wade came with the SOPI. SOPI was the SOPI movement, a coalition of political parties under the PDS, the Party Democratic Socialist of Senegal. And generally, it was the youths. Because if you consider the new entry to the to politics, I mean, in that campaign, when it was meant, Abdoulaye Wade, came out. He was the oldest, one of the oldest candidates. But what he did was he utilized a united front, just as what we had in the Gambia in 2016, a united front and run under a SOPI agenda, that's change agenda. And it was the youths and the youth population. And if you look at this population statistics of Senegal, you'll realize how much of those youths, qualify to vote from the time of independence to when he came into power. But again, when Abdoulaye Wade lost the elections to Macky Sall, Macky Sall came on the back of the youth protests, a movement which was called Yanamar. Yanamar, went on to lead a civil society, lead on protesting against a third term for Abdoulaye Wade.
Yeah.
And during the process of these demonstrations, and all the political parties came around the idea of this is about stopping Abdoulaye Wade for a third term. They did not manage to stop him from a third term, but what they managed to do is defeat him at the polls. And this is again where we say that the youths make it possible for Macky Sall to win the elections at the first time. But again, that election, they had to go through the second round.
Yeah.
And now you can see a difference here, because at that time too, the youths were not, the revolution or the campaign was not entirely led by youths. It still had to be decided at the second round level. What happened next is Macky Sall came and started to undermine the institutions and undermine civil society for that matter. Yanamar was the first institution, the civil society, that Macky Sall went against, started to be prosecuted and suppressed. And then he went on for his political rivals, and not factoring that it was only through good governance that he could have maintained power. He started to go through the route of imposing himself as a dictator from the onset, though Senegalese and people did not see it at that time, but later on they catch up with it. And who made them catch up with it was the leadership of PASTEF. That's where it matters again. Alaji, you can have the youth population, you can have their talent and everything, but without the leadership, they would not materialize. This is where we recognize, and people come to the debate of leadership and fellowship. But as I always say, the debate cannot, will always be win over by leadership, because the fellowship cannot materialize if there's no leadership within the fellowship. And what Usman Sonko did was, and the PASTEF party did was to create a movement rather than an established political party. They took up an agenda, and if you look at the word patriotism, it was part of the backbone, a patriot. Everybody wants to be seen as a patriotic citizens and be counted as a patriotic citizens. And they came out with an agenda guided by policy, and they built a strategy in order to build an anti-establishment based on the youths, and from then on they build it up to influence the majority of the population and able to stand against the suppression and the of the dictatorship tendencies of Macky Sall. And when Pasif came out first, they were all young people. They're still young, but I mean, they were far young. Imagine 10 years ago, that means he was 34 years. I mean, Usman Sonko would have been 38 years old or something like that. They were all technically on the 40s, most of the leadership for that matter. And they first resonated to the youth. And it was like, comical. They were being mocked to say that, oh, don't mind these people. All they have would be disgruntled youths that would follow them. Yes, the disgruntled youths follow them. They start with it. Later on, they started to build up. When they started to build up, their activities on social media. Again, the establishment underestimated the importance or the role that social media plays in this generation. But when they started to make their mark, was coming not only qualifying for the rounds of elections, because of they have a qualification kind of assessment by their independent electoral council, and they came through, and Pastif became candidature of Usman Sonko for that matter. Became the first. That became their first elections, and the first round they scored 15%, which was unprecedented as well. You see, they have been breaking records because they have a strategy to move on. And like they moved on from that election of winning a 15% distance. What come next was very interesting. Was the parliamentary elections, and the first time they held diaspora elections, Macky Sall won over 80% of the diaspora. Turn it around, Pasteur took part in the parliamentary elections and the diaspora vote. Pasteur beat Macky Sall in the diaspora. Why does this matter? If you can resonate to the diaspora, now it's not only about youths. Now they have another demographic, which is the diaspora. Again, the diaspora numbers is not only the number of voters that you will capture. It's the resources that you need that will come in. But again, the diaspora have another factor, which is the influence they will have on their people and their support and people. And their friends and families back home. And this is, you see, this is a leadership they provided to build on. You see, people should not just jump thinking, oh, it's just, put a youth candidate or youth people to come out and lead a political party and they're going to succeed. No. It takes far more than that. From there on, now the Senegalese government, Macky Sall, started to take them seriously and realize the power they have. But the establishment itself, the opposition and everything else started to realize the impact these people will have. And that parliamentary elections, it became known that Sonko have become a factor that needed in any campaign for a candidate to win. And again, this is something we should learn from. Pastif started to work on bringing oppositions together. Even though they criticize the system, but they have this mentality that it's not the people per se, but it's how the system operates. That's where the problem is. We can, once we capture power, we are going to redraw the system in a way that every other citizens would likely behave in a way and manner that we all benefit from the resources and the country would progress. And in that concept is, be it the Halifax Salas, be the others, they build a tactical alliance. With even the PDS, where in the certain areas they did not contest seats for the local government or the parliamentary things, but they ensured to, in the parliamentary election, they got almost 30 seats in parliament. And not only them having 30 seats, the opposition technically have almost half of the electoral seats in parliament. And that's where it went on. Then Macky Sall started to use, start from the Ajisar case and every other case they can try to manufacture, try to suppress passive and ban passive and everything else. But what? Because of the youths were already led and inspired, and because of big leadership of passive have been trusted with integrity, because of the leadership passive give hope. Alagi, that's an ultimate important point Gambian opposition should think of. Hope that
Hope.
they will make a
Brother
difference.
Ben, let's stop there and analyze there, because I'm just going to contrast and compare,
Yeah.
whether, but before coming, say hi to our viewers wherever they are. Mohammed Fai says, Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak to you and my uncle Ben. Lamin Piran says, thanks, unless citizens are ready to take ownership of their country and hold their political leaders accountable, nothing will change. We have to know that power belongs to the people. Yes, and of course we will do this as audio so that it can be distributed. That's a plea from Lam Pirang Bojang. Please share the
Can
audio.
you ask them to tag me, please? To share it and tag me, because I cannot. For one reason, I'm having problem
Yeah,
sharing it. Yeah.
sharing it. Yes, so yes, we can. Maybe our producer will share you and tag you so that you can share it anyway. Brother Ben, this is so important because it's not only about the youth. The youth are in Senegal, the youth are in the Gambia, and they're almost going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Somebody has to come and mobilize the youth, and the youth representation and give them value so that they can get into politics. It's not because Sonko came and, because as you said at the beginning, they were ridiculing them. These are kids, and brother Ben, they didn't go out and have these fancy degrees from Western universities. I'm not denigrating Western university degrees, but they are homegrown, they are home educated and all those things. And they went to the tax office. They know what was happening there. They were youth and all those things. But not only their charisma, not only that, but they have a plan, they have a strategy. And everybody knows that no matter how, it's not about tribe. You can put some tribe things there, but they transcend beyond that. So in essence, they have a policy, they have a pathway that they want, and the focus is, they sell themselves to the youth, and youth see themselves. That's why they want to play their life to them. Compared to Gambians, we are the same youth. There's nothing wrong with the youth, but as you say, leadership is absent. Somebody that can reach out to those youths and mobilize them and tell them this is beyond tribe, this is beyond ourselves, this is beyond our party and an individual as a leader of a political party or as a president. This is about the Gambia. Because worse things are happening in the Gambia than Senegal. Why are we not saying this? Why are we not coming up and fight for our rights? So what did they do to have the diaspora? Because diasporas are savvy, they are educated, they have resources. They don't need to go to Sonko or anybody. In fact, they benefit Sonko. They were giving it. But what did he do to sell himself and Passive, not Sonko alone, Passive, to sell their program to and everybody buy. I've worked with Senegalese here in Leeds in the gym. Across tribes, they are all about Sonko and what Sonko can do and whatever, and they are mobilizing funds here to support Passive so that they can go, they can have a better Senegal. What did they do? What did them? And after that, brother, we can come to the resilience of not only Passive Party but Sonko himself. He went through a lot, beating him, alleging him on all those things. Compare it to our young politicians who came and they were very vibrant and everybody is looking to them, but they capitulate. Because things are tough for them a little bit, maybe, or they lose, economic power, they don't have jobs, and they just capitulate. The power that they were, the establishment that they were criticizing, and nothing changes, it's getting even worse. They turn to those people and kind of, marry them. So, we can see the resilience of Sonko compared to this, and in that pace, So yes, what did he do to have all these people, the other political parties, the Karim Wadas and all those things, and at the end of the day, everybody comes. Go ahead.
Thank you. You see, the main selling point of Passive was that they were trusted. How did they achieve to make people to believe in them? First is how they came together as a political party. Alaji, as you said, both Jomai, President-elect Jomai and Usman Sonko and many other passive these things did come from either the University of Dakar or University of Saint Louis and educated within Senegal, and that's where they gain their degrees and where they gain their masters. This is a very important point that you touch on. But something else, they went to an institution for where civil servants were, how to call it? Civil servants have to go through, called ENA. It's like an institution that all civil servants, be it, where you're going to end up in immigration or even in the military, you have to go, or magistrates and so on have to go through this. What that does is it gives them a very nationalistic and realistic understanding of the people. And for that matter, and these are the leaders of party. But that does not stop that later on, they attracted people who came from different educational backgrounds, who are in the diaspora, who have their doctorates who have their first degrees, doctorates, and masters or doctorates in the diaspora or different professions, because they ultimately see the leadership in them, that these people have the solution. And when they came together, and the idea of an anti-establishment. We are going to do things, a rupture, something completely different from this. Look, at the time they were all at the level of middle management, at very lucrative departments, where they don't need to. They have already accessed their mortgages. They have accessed, the promising Senegal, that they don't need to take any other risk. They could have even joined the main establishment political parties and have the riches and everything else. But they sacrifice. And they did prove themselves to. Usman Sonko is one of the people that created a union within the tax and customs department, what we have as the GRA. And in there they started to prove their leadership. And when they came together, some did drop at the beginning. Some did. Some of them did drop and went and joined the establishment. They continued and they came out first. After selecting Usman Sonko came out with the book called Solution to Our Problems. This is the first time a politician have come out and digest and have the boldness to say, we are going to move away from this formula of development to this other formula of development. They have the audacity to say that. We are not going to follow this, where France would lead, where the economy would be determined this way or not. We are going to do things differently. And the solution is in us, the people, and our resources. They first make Senegalese to believe and prove it by exposing the corruption. They said, if we only plug the leakages in government, that will be enough to do for A, B, C, and D. You see? Secondly, they said, our resources, if we regain control over our resources, is where they talked about the mineral resources. Up to the point today, not even educated Senegalese will tell you about zircon, will tell you about petrol, will tell you about gas, will tell you about other forms of mineral resources. They have 9 to 10 different viable mineral resources they have. But this is the first time an opposition party have come out, literally telling them, this is what is inside this in the country, and this is how we can take control of it, and this is going to be, make the change. They did another thing is, as I said, directed to say that everything the government puts out there to claim to be development, they will dissect it and they will come with an alternative to say, no, yes, you might want to appreciate this, but we tell you that the corruption that mired this project and the incompetence of this project is costing Senegal to this point. We could have done better if we have done this way. I give you an example of having a train that runs from Dakar, central Dakar to the outskirts of Dakar. They said no. Why can't we recreate the trains to run from Sally to Ziganshaw?
That's the answer.
And the cost on this could have done so much. Why can't we make sure that the trains, I mean, we create a company, a Senegalese company that will be in charge of maintaining, you know, this is the kind of, I mean, discussion they have, this solution, I mean, approach they have, policy approach they have. They're the first, the movement that came out to say they have to redefine the relationship between state and religion and faith. And you can see it in their manifesto. They said that they have to do that. And that is bold because of the power of these Syrians in Senegal. That's why they try to that's why they tag them as Salafists. But that did not make them. You see, you have to take difficult choices. They were true to themselves. We are going to do this. We will stop where the president will have this, what they call case noir, a black case that he can decide on accountable. Take billions of dollars, millions of dollars, and give it to, Syrians that he wishes to do. No, we are going to structure that. They have recognized the importance of faith. They have recognized this establishment role they play, how important it is in social cohesion, but they understand it as well as how much they contribute in the economy. Now they said that we are going to put in place an independent body that will decide the funding to be either Catholics, to be Protestants, to be Murid, to be Tijan, to be Nyasen, to be Lion, whatever it is. This is how we're going to do it. You see, they started to prescribe things that people are seeing themselves in. And that's why the diaspora got won over first. I like they talk about agriculture, how they're going to transform agriculture. I like they talk about the marine resources, how they're going to transform and stop this giving out license to multinational companies, how they're going to make sure that they build a value chain in Senegal to create jobs. Like they talk about the educational system reforms that is required, to the extent of they prescribe that English would be taught at primary school. You see that forward thinking? English would be taught at primary school. Like they talk about the educational system, how Islamic studies or madrasas or everything will be integrated into this thing to be more productive. See, almost every aspect of life they have dealt with, which affects almost every other person, regardless of your tribe, your religion, or your caste. In fact, what it does is it's so progressive that it gives hope to the youth and hope to poor people. And because it points out that the sufferings we are facing today should not, because we have enough wealth. In a nutshell, what they did is to make people to believe in themselves. Nutshell, what they did to make people to believe in their leadership. In a nutshell, they make people to have hope in the policies they have and the leadership they're going to provide. This is very important. And not only that saying it, they proved it. Senegalese continue to monitor them. They looked at their lifestyle and they kept, just as President-elect Bassirou Diomaye Faye did these days, to say that we have worked at this, lucrative institution, the tax and customs, where we all know that people that have been there have turned out to be multimillionaires. Mm-hmm. We have never misappropriated anything, and whoever have evidence come out and tell us. That's Ousmane Sonko did. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, it's one thing that Senegal keep on quoting, because even custom guards, I tell you, custom guards of Senegal, you'll be surprised how much this is just as in the Gambia, custom guards or some, these things have. Now, Diomaye Faye did the same thing recently, but they believe them that they are incorruptible. Why? If they were corruptible, mm-hmm. These people were worth millions of dollars to cross carpet.
Yes.
To the establishment. to go into cabinet. It's not that the government have not tried. That's the strategy that Macky Sall have, utilized very well. That's the strategy that Macky Sall have taken from Abdoulaye Wade before.
And probably Barrow and probably our president learned it from Macky Sall, So, yes,
now they have not. And it's not that only that they will be offered, but they stood up, and Macky Sall went against after them. They stood there. You see, taking Sonko to prison have proven that he was not only leading, for the comfort, but ultimately, in fact, having an alternative candidate is something that even, as every day goes by, Pastef became resilient. Pastef started to win over support. You see, that's how they grow their party to a movement. This is very important. You might have a party, but you have to find a way. In Europe, what we say, or in America, to bring the party to the center. In Africa is again, it's the same concept of how to just bring. You see, party memberships can never be more than the population of the country. Then, if time of election, you expect people from other parties or people that did not subscribe in political parties to support you in order to win. Now, because of this approach, and this is another point Gambians to note, and I'll point it out in the electoral results in Senegal. Ethnic politics have ever run in African politics, just as it runs in European politics. This is a fact. Yeah. But what the difference is, how is it done? Now, in the process of it, every kind of tag have been used against Sonko and Pastef.
Yes.
They have been labeled as angry people. They have been tagged as Salafis, Islamic terrorists, or ever against our customs or our religion. Sonko background from Casamance have been used. We are, or even see our brother Baitulai was arrested, trying to get him to link him to Sonko and others. They have tried to link Pastef to the MFDC and Sonko. But again, Macky Sall, when he came, he moved the tribal politics to another level, because he wanted to rely more because he's trying to entrench himself as a dictator, that he used the tribal politics, and put them in mechanism, in fact, in the electoral fraud as well. Something else we need to discuss. How did they beat the electoral fraud? In the electoral fraud, because you understand that there's a demography, there's a big border with Mauritania. There are so many Fulanis that can easily cross and blend in. From Guinea-Conakry, and there are so many Fulanis. From the Guinea-Bissau, and there are so many Fulanis. From the Gambia, and there are so many. From the
Gambia, and also
he used all this. And Alaji, if you look at, that's why to say that the reason they were able to deal with, Pastef were able to deal with this, is because of they stayed in the center and they use policy and give hope to people to not able to to keep them, and it became about issues your life and your decisions. Everybody, you see, as I said, as people we are of different tribes, but does not mean that we hate each other.
No,
but politicians can always utilize this in order for their advantage, and people of different tribes will take part in this in order for this to succeed, and overwhelmingly, Macky Sall have benefited from it. And until, in fact, the Macky Sall candidate was only safe, he only won in fuller regions. If you look at the map of Senegal, and you see, because I remember when let me go to your WhatsApp, because just to show you the look at the map.
Yes.
Remember when that gentleman came with the prediction?
Yes, something Kamara. Yes.
No, not Kamara. Not Kamara. Is it
Jawara? Something Jawara. Yes.
Jawara. Yeah. Basadi Jawara.
Basadi. Yes.
Basadi Jawara. You know, he talked about yeah, I got it here. You know, he himself admitted. He said that also the election would be win based on tribes.
Yes.
And I was so much disappointed. Tribe do play, and it will continue to play a factor in politics for the foreseeable future. I can tell you that. Depends how it's been dealt with. Now, for him to just to point to tribe, he contradicted himself. He went on to analyze to say that, oh, because Sonko came from a tribe that is 4%, and Wallace are this, Fullers are this. But I said, you contradict yourself. If he came from a tribe of 4% and he ran for elections and he won
15%,
15%.
We got 15% previously. That's about years and years ago.
Yeah,
you know,
years
with
and
less
years ago.
popularity.
I said, why not take the other factors that we have youth generation? Why not take the other factors? There are other resources available now that were not available before, social media. Why not take another factor about the demographic in the diaspora and the role influence they play? Why not take the factor of the leadership programs that PASTEF have? You see, these are all factors that you have to look into.
Yeah.
That's why when a political party lose, let them not point to tribe alone or people being tribalist. That's why they lose. Let no political party be credited because it's only because of tribe they won that election. That's lazy analysis, and I can take on any Gambian on a debate on this. And to prove it here is
yes.
Okay, let me give you the Matam region, which is of 4%. Yeah. And obviously, if you go to the Casamas in Kidugu region, Kidugu, which is about 1%, Tambacounda 4% of the voter population, Kolda 3%. You see, all these areas have, high concentration of Fulani.
Of Fulanis, yes.
But Sonko, PASTEF won because of the policies. These areas are mineral-rich areas that have been communities have been deprived of their wealth. Just as you said, the Congo have been deprived of their land. The Congo have been deprived of the sea resources. I mean, they came out for Sonko, PASTEF, because of policies. But what another thing they did is, in what we like in America, you have people know about the swing states.
Yes.
Just as in the UK, we know safe seats for conservative or not. But if you want to win elections, there are safe seats or there's swing seats that you can win, you have to win, and so on and so forth. That's a reality of Senegal as well. And what PASTEF did is, if you look at the results from Casamas, you see the overwhelming 80% voted in favor of Jomai, the PASTEF candidate.
Yes.
In Casamas. Yeah? Because of the concentration of Jolas and Mandinkas.
And the Mandinkas, yes.
Yeah? There are Fullers, but the concentration, and you see the numbers, how poorly bad it. That's a part of the thing. Yeah. What defined the strategy is they won in other areas that even have disease. But let me come to this point again. But if you go to Dakar itself, it's a cosmopolitan. Dakar is the capital.
Exactly.
You have mixture of, I can tell you, mixture of tribes in Dakar. And you see how comfortable. But because of their awareness, it's not easy to manipulate them. You see the percentage that PASTEF have won in Dakar. You go to Fatick, Kaula, Kafrin, in those areas, you see how comfortably they have won. But again, you have seen in those areas how some of the candidates have done in those areas as well.
Yes.
Because of the tribe thing did not work in there. Again, these people are kind of more exposed and diverse as well. You go to Chess, Luga, and Selly. PASTEF won all there as well. Yes. That's why I was telling people when I did my analysis, I said, look, PASTEF will go win this decision because it's already evident that these areas are all resonating to PASTEF. But when you come to Matam, interesting, PASTEF literally was beaten like, Amadou scored 80 to 90. You see, and why so? If you look at the the voter population and Senegalese population, contrast to the electoral register,
Yeah.
you see the evidence of voter fraud because of how much and even the day of elections, you have
Yeah.
seen the convoys.
Yes.
Convoys, and Pasteur did not even bother to try to stop that because they know that the tension it might create in that area,
Yeah.
it might make the election, render the election annulled because they
Yeah.
were avoiding any reason for this election to be annulled. But we have seen the evidence. Whereas there is diaspora voting, there's no need for any Senegalese to move from any area to another area. Then who were those people? Convoys of foolers. And
Yes.
I understand the language. I
Yes.
hear they saying that they're coming out to vote for Amadouba. It's openly fraud. But that thing do take part, always happen since Macky Sall took power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Macky Sall became the first fuller candidate or president.
In
And
Senegal,
he
yes.
used it. Tribal politics.
Yeah.
And you go on social media, you can see people, unfortunately, educated people, fullers,
Yeah.
subscribing to this notion. But again, you can see the same thing, part of the positive where some people are only supporting positive based on their tribe. But positive would not have won this if it was based on tribe. They won this because of they are in the center, they represent, they provide a solution. This is how they neutralize.
Exactly.
They neutralize this issue about what you call it, the tribal politics. They neutralize because you've seen progressive jollers or these things come out.
Yeah.
To some of them against in passive. Fullers against in
Yeah.
supporting passive. You see, this is what progress is. But again, let's come to the election fraud. How did they beat this? They were vigilant. And the vigilance does not start from the polling station. They could not have done anything from the registration.
Yeah.
But they used the registration to prepare themselves. Now they understand where the flow is coming from, and they did a study, and they have their vigilante groups. Again, I came out to say vindicated.
Yes.
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 Gambians trying to refuse people who support Barrow or people that have something against UDP say, oh no, there's no electoral fraud. Or if you call out electoral fraud, they call you a tribalist. Or if you are fuller like me, they say, oh, you hate your tribe.
You hate your tribe. Yes.
Or you secretly supporting UDP as if it's a terrorist movement that you have to be ashamed of supporting.
Yeah.
You see, we pointing it as it is.
As it is, yes.
Look at the fact here. Look at the electoral decision. You cannot have Senegal to be about 17 million and half of the population registered to vote.
No.
It's impossible.
No, that's impossible. Yes.
The same thing that they did to Gambia. They inflated the votes. You have Gambia, 2 million population, and almost 1 million.
No.
But when the fraud succeeded in Gambia, you have seen the turnout of 90%. Because there are no turnout of 90%. No, they were able to cook the books to get that to justify it. But you know that cannot be done without tampering with the registration. Now, Senegal, the same thing happened. They had electoral register almost 7 million. But the participation has always been 50% or 48% or under.
Definitely.
Yes, but again, we have seen the evidence where vehicles were stopped coming from Gambia. Even Sonko talked about it. The news talked about it.
Yes.
Coming from the Gambia to try to vote in Casamas. We have seen people arrested in Casamas from Guinea-Bissau, people who were hosted in schools, just as it happened in the Gambia.
As it happened in the Gambia, yes.
Where these people, elections are held in every place that we have a sizable number of Senegalese. We have elections held in Gambia. Why there's no cross crossing of why do you have to cross to Senegal to vote when there's an election in the Gambia?
That's it, and the diaspora can vote in Gambia,
Anyway.
Senegalese diaspora. So why do you have to? Yes,
but they were proactive. But another thing they did was voter suppression. And voter suppression, for some people who might not understand, is they have a habit of changing polling stations, or during the registration.
Yeah.
What they did, they target a demographic of youths, especially within certain constituency that they know that there are highly populated youths of supporting passive. Just as what happened in the elections, Kermasar, Gejawai, some of those things, they're highly, and it did affect a bit. But what they did is, before the election, they created an app. Passe created an app, not the electoral thing, to beat that voter suppression. In that app, all you need to do is put your surname, Janneh, put your electoral number from your thing, and it will tell you the voting booth that you need to go. And obviously, if you look at the people that were complaining, and the minute they use social media as well, the minute it became apparent that it's happening, they send their activists to go around to show people how to use the app and to direct them to the right polling station. You see, there's so much to do. That's why I have seen Gambians running or saying that that young gentleman Usman Toure or Bob Keta should be this thing because of they looked at what happened in Senegal. It's so much to do.
It's so much to do, and Pastive has been very. They've not been lazy. They've been very proactive. Also, they've been calculating any development comes. They do their analysis and say we can do better. This is not good. This is not. But there is better. There is these things, and our political parties are not doing that at all. And look at it. Creating an apps. They are one step, or two step ahead of all the fraud that's coming up. To the extent that one thing or the other doesn't affect the results, brother. But yes, go ahead.
During the process of the elections, remember, the minute is counted on the spots. You see that they have an electoral desk.
Yeah.
That's another point. In fact, when it came to apparent that Jamai is leading, it went silence.
Yeah.
But look, they knew, they were confident. They just sent a message, let's just wait.
Yes.
They did not want to call themselves as winners, but what they did is because they have all the receipts. They make sure that none of them, they mandate all their polling things, the weak ones and everything else, to make sure that they have the receipts counted and posted to them, and they hold it, and they put some of them on social media before time.
Yes.
And the electoral thing could not have done anything. They did not go out to this thing. And this is why candidates started to concede defeat, because they know it's already done. It's counted. You see, now this tells us something about Gambia again. If Senegal can determine before midnight, technically the winner, why did we have
to about a tiny small Gambia? Definitely.
Why do we have to wait till the morning? Because I see we're cooking the books. I see we're cooking the books for Baro.
It doesn't make sense. Brother Ben, but the implication, security-wise, economic-wise, relation-wise with the Gambia, what implication will this have, in our election coming? Because there's a lot of crossing, voter registering from the Gambia going into Senegal, or coming from Senegal to Gambia, or using Janneh to transit in Senegal to go and vote in the Gambia, and the security-wise also. The soldiers in the Gambia, are they going to go? When they go, do we have contingent plan and all those things? So all these things are here. What do you think, the projections will be, the relationship will be, the security situations will be? What impact in the North Cell with Senegalese, with this anti-establishment candidate, his candidature and Sonko, will have the impact it will have in the Gambia, citing the fact that Barrow and Maggie have been very, 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 very close. His political godfather. At some point, we can say that. Well, the whole election and how it goes, and the changes, the Pan-Africanism, the anti-establishments and all those things, and Sonko and Fai, they're thinking beyond African politics anyway. They are thinking far, far beyond what we understand as politics, How is this going to affect the Gambia? Let's start with security. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Alaji, particularly Gambia. Let's say particularly Gambia. But this is about Africa. I'll tell you that. Particularly Gambia and Guinea-Bissau. Alaji, first and foremost, is psychological. The change is psychological. And Pastef have already resonated in that. You go to Mali now, even where the military have taken over. We don't want the military to take over. We want a democratic change. And citizens of those countries, especially in Francophone countries, have been looking at Pastef as a case study for them. What I mean case study for them is a case study for Gambia, but in a different aspect. Because Gambia have done something similar. That's why I say 2016 is something similar. But it's different in a certain aspect. It's a political party-led to a movement. But as I said, psychologically, it has impacted, which is very good. Yeah, it has given hope to youths, and that's why I understand some of the youths that might jump on trying to look at personalities, thinking that, oh, we should get a youth leader. But it's not only about a youth leader, it takes far more than that. It's about dedication. It's about dedication. I just want to put, because I missed the point. The example is we have seen the Dr. Ceases. That's why I said they're not dedicated. And they're not original. They were never an anti-establishment. Guess what happened? The first test, he capitulated and completely destroyed his records and everybody who would associate with him. It's simple. And then, because it takes far more than that. It takes about dedication because of your earning will be affected, your lifestyle will be affected, almost everything will be affected. But again, Pastef have proven that you don't need big money to run this. You don't need people from this. No, what you need is to make people to believe and give them ownership of their projects. And we have seen their source of money. In the open, contribution from diaspora, contribution from Senegalese, up to the point of poor Senegalese giving $1, something like whatever they have. Anything they have in order to support. And we have seen again that as an anti-establishment, they did not go around paying musicians to come to grace their meetings or anything else.
Oh yes, Bob. We didn't see that happen. We didn't see the fancy of the the Nigerians,
Any musician that grace their platform is because of you believe in the project.
Yeah,
it's a project. Now let's come back to it. The impact will be psychological, which we are all realizing now and discussing. But let me tell something to Gambians. Pastef are elected by Senegalese to represent the Senegalese national interests. Ultimately, Gambia will only feel the full impact of the new orientation in Senegal if we have the competence, leadership in order to sit down on the table and negotiate. Ebrima, to love oneself does not mean hating someone else.
Yes, no, not at all.
That's something I'm saying in the Wolof. I don't know whether it writes in English. Yeah. It does not mean hating someone else. And if they have a mandate for their national interest, ultimately that will trump any other interest.
Yes.
But as you said, what we have seen, again, we have to say based on what we have witnessed, based on what they have shown or manifest or been talking about, is they are Pan-Africans. One, I'll come to that. They have an interest as a movement to want to see things change in the Gambia. They have an interest as a nation to see things want to change into Gambia. But what does that mean for them, and what Gambians would want to mean to them? Mm-hmm. This is again the point here. Why do I have hope that they are going to do things different? Their interest is not corruption.
Yes.
You see, let me give you an example here. One area that Gambians are accusing Barrow of being naive or being given this thing is about this fisheries license. The fisheries license are not given to Senegalese. Fisheries license are Macky Sall created this contract or this bilateral relationship, project to benefit his patrons, Senegalese business people that operates fisheries companies that will take that license, a Gambian license under the Senegalese flag and give it to a Chinese company, give it to a Turkish company, give it to another company. Senegal is affected by this fisheries policy just as Gambia is. Now, if Pastef have changed the fisheries policy in Senegal, it's bound to influence our fisheries policy.
It will influence it,
Pastef would not look for patrons to come to the Gambia to say, oh, can we borrow some license so that we can fly our flag, use our flag boats, to fish in your waters. They will not do that.
No.
That's one example. The other point is economic.
Yes.
Okay. Gambians should know this. Every Senegalese government have an interest in the stability of Gambia.
Yeah.
Yes, to an extent. They what we have seen before, from Senghor to Abdou Diouf, and in fact to Macky Sall, and I have evidence of that from Macky Sall's government. They want an element of reliance of Gambia on Senegal for kind of a protection because of what? To integrate Gambia sovereignty into Senegal. That has been a Senegalese policy. But again, as you said, what we hope, what we have seen as evident as their Pan-African mentality, they would not be interested in forcing a Senegambia integration. Alaji Ebrima, I am an advocate of Senegambia concept, a viability of both states. I am an advocate of African unity, and you cannot advocate for African unity when Senegambia cannot, and you are against the concept of a Senegambia unity. But I believe that good governance in Senegal and their Pan-Africanist thinking can make Gambians to accept, because it would be on mutual grounds, on mutual benefits. It's not Senegal taking advantage of Gambia. Whatever we are, let's just say mutually. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
That's what I expect. Now, if we come to how it's going to be done, that's what is important. And Gambians, too, the role we have to play to make it done. If Gambians, we have a government that don't care, that could not do anything, they are not going to do it for us. They are not going to do it for us.
No, they are not going to do it for us.
And if the situation, what if the situation arises, they are going to look at it to their advantage. Now let's Gambian wake up to not think that, oh, Sonko and Janneh have come to government, these things are going to change. No. Yes, there's possibility of this changing, but we have to make sure we are ready for the change and to engage them and guarantee that change. If we come to economic, Senegal still would be a responsible government. They would not just get up and say we are going to take our forces because of Macky Sall was too close to
Barrow.
No. People would be surprised that some of the things, radical things they even advocated, would not be done in that manner. They will go through a process. They'll go through a process. Obviously, they will evaluate the situation. And then to take a position, and that position would determine the process they're going to take for it to effect. And let me tell you right now, the Gambia government have appealed to the international community, have appealed to ECOWAS for economic to stay until the implementation of the TRRC. That's what they said. Because to Janneh to go for this, oh, this might happen, that might happen. This is the scenario they have put in place. But if Senegal, which is the contributing this thing, major troop contributor and everything else, would actually look at it with a timeline and would look at it competently, and they might allow. And I can tell you, they are likely to allow the status quo probably for a year or two. But I believe that there will be a time frame that they will say that we are going to withdraw this time, or we are going to do this way or that way. But that too, again, will be determined how Gambians conduct themselves.
And they conduct themselves.
And
yes.
how leadership and if I say leadership, I'm not talking about Barrow. I'm talking about the opposition.
The oppositions, yeah.
I'm talking about opposition, leadership.
Brother Ben, this is so important, the role of oppositions, and what oppositions can learn from positive. That's not only for Barrow and because it's beyond that. It's our politicians that can make these changes and all those things. The establishment is there and they are very, very comfortable. But we don't have much time. I think in 10 minutes time we will round up because we are in Ramadan. I don't want to keep you here. We will come back and discuss these things. But we, according to UN World Food Program, about nearly 39% of Senegalese live in poverty, below poverty lines, and youth unemployment is skyrocketing there. Macky Sall didn't do well. He just concentrated on white elephant projects that people can see for him to be in power, and that's carry our people a lot, even though the OIC, the roads are not very good, but still some people they are just putting it on front of their pages so that they can camouflage people that this is development. We know this is not development. Do you think positive Mr. Faye and Sonko and their leadership can deliver for Senegal? And I saw a lot of worrying people saying, Barrow and Dabo are separated and all those. And there's a different relationship in terms of, Sonko, and completely different. Because when people say that, I say, probably you don't understand how these people came together. Yeah, but it's a possibility, So what's your take on that? Can they deliver? Because the hopes are so high. Not only for Senegal, Brother Ben, but the whole of Africa are looking at Sonko and Diomaye Faye and said, these are our hopes. These are the Pan-Africans. These are more than Thomas Sangare because he came through military and all those things. Yeah. What is your analysis there? And we can round it up there.
Okay, let me give you an example here. Let's first start the failure of Macky Sall in governance.
Yes.
First is corruption. Second is economic policy. The policy. Now, what constitutes development? This is something that Pasteur have defined. That's why I said the solution. And I like my last trip to Senegal. The reason I visited these regions and look at the regions I visited. These regions was for, if you know Senegal, you have to understand this belt of Fouta, Jolof, and Dakar, Salum, and Casamance. You have to understand this belt. Now, the corruption is Macky Sall have not penalized a single person for his 12 years that have for corruption, even though it's endemic. Projects have failed. And many people have been indicted by the Anti-Corruption Commission. It's what an act or something like that. And Macky Sall came out in public and said that he put his these things on cases. Not a single person. The only people he prosecuted are people that were in opposition. And corruption, impunity for corruption. And it ensured that nothing literally works. Major projects of millions of dollars just went bankrupt. Nothing happened. But again, the things that people look and associate to development in Senegal. What is development when you lost all your marine resources to foreigners? Now, an industry, Senegal had a vibe. We all know our fisheries people are Senegalese. I can tell you, even Ivory Coast, some Ivory Coast communities are Senegalese.
Yes.
back in the day. So the Lebu tribe are known for fishing, but the Tubalos are known for fishing,
Yeah.
and others. The Jolas, a certain sect of Jolas are known for fishing.
They're known for fishing. Yes. Yes.
Some of the Sereners are known for
And the
fishing.
cereals too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
a
Yes.
population, it's like that complete industry collapses, and we've seen the evidence in the flight of youths taking the back way from fishing communities. One. The other thing is everything that you look at and people look at. Give you the airport of Senegal. You know that most people don't know that it's not owned by Senegal yet.
All right.
The arrange is owned by a Turkish company or Turkish sovereign fund. It's an arrangement. But the bad thing about is Senegal still would pay the company if certain revenue is not, generated from the airport. Or what they do is extend the lease to cover that revenue. You see, it's like build and lease common, those kind of concepts.
Yeah. Like our security port in the airport. Yes.
Or what we're doing to the SeneGambian bridge.
The SeneGambian bridge.
But in this case, the Turkish build it themselves. It's not that we build it already. The Turkish build it, and the motorway. The motorway most people are talking about is kind of a private. It's going to be for years, and Senegalese government. It's not that motorways are or the toll systems are not allowed, but it's how the contracts were signed because of corruption.
Yeah.
You see, the football stadiums and everything else are still not owned by Senegal.
Wow.
You see, many other things, but the trains, even the most, this thing is the train network. The companies still own everything. Senegal government still have to pay because of the traffic, the revenue. It cannot be. You cannot that short distance make that revenue.
Definitely.
In many countries, train make more money not on passengers but on cargo. You see, this is what Pastor have talked about, and the evidence is here. The poverty of Senegal have increased because they have a sort of a social welfare thing that every year it increases. If you are developing, that should be decreasing. Yes. But every year it is capturing more people in the poverty, and we have seen. And again, this is why many youths resonate. I mean, the programs or the promises of Pastor is attractive to these communities in Kermassar, in Gejawai, in other communities, highly populated areas where there's no employment. Somaz. Now, Pastor talked about a different economic policy to the extent of getting out of the fray.
Yeah.
And again, it's not irresponsible. These people are responsible. Their manifesto or the programs have been worked by 1,400 intellectuals, both in and out of Senegal. If any other country can have their own currency, why not Senegal? I mean, these people are both Faye and Sonko are trained in financial discipline.
Yes.
They know what they're talking about. Physical discipline. They know what they're talking about. That's going to be, but their programs in education, programs in fact, how they're going to utilize the mineral, how they're going to renegotiate the contracts.
Yeah, redrawing redrawing their relationship with France. Yeah.
The iron ore, the phosphate. Senegal is importing fertilizer, but they are exporting the raw material that make fertilizer. And they said, we are not going to allow this. We should produce here and export from here. They're going to renegotiate any fisheries industry. Their policy is going to work. And this is where the hope is. And as I said first, it's about corruption. We are very confident that they will fight corruption. And in the first thing is to prove to recover the loot and redirect that and invest it in the youths. And Alaji, why again am I guaranteed of this? The power they have was deprived from the people. And the people have took ownership of this project. If even Uthman Sonko want to derail, I can tell you, you will see a rupture. You see people come out They are not supporting Usman Sonko because of his tribe. They are not supporting him because of his most educated. Because they support him because they trust him. Because they trust his ability. They're supporting the positive because they trust them, they trust their ability. They are not supporting them because of their youths. They are supporting them because of their ability and they trust them. And to bring the parallel between Dabo, Barrow,
yes.
somebody saying it's either dishonest or just clueless.
Yes.
These people have personal relationships. In fact, there's a debate here. It's because when PASTEF was formed, it's a group of people. And they said that each to bring two people to form an executive. Some said that it's Jomai who identifies Sonko. And Jomai have said this. The minute he went to the department, joined the department, he had the Sonko surname. He said Sonko, Usman was not the only person with the surname Sonko.
All right.
But he heard of him. And he looked into him and he admired him. And Sonko was the leader of the union. That's how they formed a friendship. And from there on, PASTEF started. Mainly, the people who formed the PASTEF are mainly from the department. And Jomai invited Sonko. And because of the leadership of Sonko, they all agree for Sonko to be the leader. Jomai did not put himself as a leader. They identified something in Sonko because he have already shown that leadership within the department.
The department, yeah.
Jomai named his son first, traditionally. And you see Jomai with his family, his father and others. It's your father you name after. It's your brother you name after. Yeah. It's someone else. Exactly. Or some people will name after with someone with the dollar. But he named his son Sonko. And Sonko, he did not even notice. Sonko did not even know that there was Jomai's
child birthday celebration. Yeah.
By accident, someone said to him, "Look, why not let us go into it?" He said, "What? Jomai did not tell me." And they went and they found that the child was named after Sonko. You see, there's a fundamental, personal relationship. They admire each other. But Sonko respected Jomai's integrity and talent as well. Look, for my sake, I can tell you, listening to Jomai, he's more intelligent than Sonko. Yes. Sonko is more charismatic.
And vocal,
yeah. More popular. But you see, if you listen to how Jomai talk about policy, you can see another insight of different from Sonko. And I believe that Jomai is in fact more disciplined than Sonko. But they complement each other. For Sonko to decide, there are so many more educated people inside PASTEF that Sonko could have identified.
Yes.
Dabo did not identify Barrow.
No.
In fact, he was against Barrow's candidature.
No, he was. He didn't even know him that much anyway.
He didn't even know him that much.
No, he didn't. He didn't even know him.
Another thing, let's move even from the personal this. PASTEF is a political party with people. You see, let's put it this way. Let's come to UDP. We have to understand the background of UDP. UDP came out of a struggle, a long struggle. And if you go through that struggle, there's so much of trauma, there's so much of things that happens to the leadership. They get exhausted. Yeah. They become so much aware of being suspicious of everything or anybody who is not among them. They become, most of them, in fact, not some, most of them become hungry and tired. They want, once they go to government, they want to have things. They want to control power. Because of they have been in the struggle and they suffered more than any other party or unit of group of people. So much they would have this sense of entitlement. They would have this sense of holding up together and being defensive and everything else. PASTEF did not come out with that baggage. That's one thing. And because of the broad base that PASTEF have, it's not easy for Jomai to maneuver, to entrench himself without PASTEF. Remember, as I even say, Sonko, who have actually nominated him and guaranteed him for the support to follow. If he wants to do that, even it will be a struggle. And I think and I believe, as a human and listening to them and looking at them, analyzing them, I believe they don't have that intention. And if you look at the Barrow's character and everything else, is someone you can never trust. But again, how Barrow came out to be a treasurer in UDP, because UDP were tired.
Yeah.
And I mean, most people speaking today, they would not even have commented on a post on UDP.
No. They were not there. Nobody was there. They were there scanning for people. The people who contested within UDP, the calibers are down anyway. So no surprise there, brother Ben. But the last one, we have only 5 minutes. But by 1:30, I need to close this.
Yeah.
Should we to Macky Sall and his cabal go through accountability, or should we go for unity? Because a lot of people are saying, let's forget about all these things and all. But I read Mahdi's piece. And I think I align myself, more with that it has to be accountability. So set, examples to people and all those things. Accountability, unity. Your thoughts?
My foundation is here. The foundation is here. Without accountability, there will be no progress.
Yes.
If they fail the accountability, this would be accountability reforms. This should be their objective.
Yes.
Hey, the notion of unity is, or this exploitation of this word, reconciliation.
Yeah, reconciliation, yes.
It's not normally done by hypocrites and opportunists. There's nothing stopping people from unite when you hold them accountable. In fact, that's when unity is assured, because of we all have taken responsibility of our wrongdoing. And again, holding accountability does not mean that every Tom, Dick, and Harry would be going to court.
And it's not a witch hunt, brother Ben.
It's not a witch hunt as well.
No, it's not a witch hunt, Yes,
and the government would not want to distract themselves. Because you don't want to be going there. No. I mean, Sonko have said this. Okay, another thing Sonko have said. Even 3 days before election, he boldly stand and said that, look, don't come and join us thinking that because of you joining us, you are assured or guaranteed appointment. This is going to be based on meritocracy. Not because of you stayed long with Pastef or the things you are. No. This is the project for the people. Then don't be surprised they bring in someone who have not supported them to run a ministry or an institution.
Yeah, brother Ben, here, if you see the positive project, in point 4, he said, we undertake to establish competitions for recruitment to civil and military positions.
Yeah.
So they're not going to favor you just because you have been for the being a favor sake. Yes.
Yeah. During the campaign period, they have not been sugarcoating what they're going to do. They said it. Now, I'm not saying that every person who have ever been mentioned or this they're going to be. No, they will look at it and see how competent it is to hold this, because certain things have to happen, cannot just be brushed under the table.
Yeah.
If that happens, then other people are bound to repeat it.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Like in the Gambia now, nobody learned any lesson. Status quo remain. Things are being the same. They're even getting worse. Because
are you following the local government?
The local government, yes.
And people are surprised by someone saying that, oh, I've not been but that's what Barrow is doing.
Yes.
And but you see, we will go for it. This is what the problem would be. But let's pray for peace, stability, and progress for Senegal. Let's put our house in order so that we can work together with Senegal for that peace and stability and progress to ensure in the Gambia and in the future. And we pray for that for even to witness it, to see an integrated SeneGambia.
Yes, I'm in for an integrate. But brother Ben, we have to stop it there. It's just after 6 now. I think we will come back again. Thank you once again for coming. Thanks for our listeners. What we are going to say is until the people stand up without compromise, no compromise at all, to make sure their leaders are accountable for their decisions and action. The dream that we have for the liberty of our countries, the dream that we have, Gambia will be a prosperity Gambia where we can all go and enjoy our life and enjoy our retirement if you want, will remain unattainable. if we are remaining passive, if we don't put our leaders accountable, including our own people, our own families. When they have position, the moment they join the government, we all switch and support them. We don't have accountability. But at the end of the day, this thing boomerang on us. It will come and haunt us. It will come and haunt our generations after generations. Our sons and daughters will cannot live in our country. They have to migrate through back ways, through deep Atlantic seas, anyhow, just to have a decent life in people's country. What that will cause is they will forever condemned to the fringes of those society. They will be second-class citizens, and because they can only be tourists in the Gambia, go there for 1 week, 2 weeks, if they even know your people, your connections, and all those things, because of our failure to hold our leaders accountable. And the congratulations to Senegalese, we have to celebrate them. That's what they do. They stand up because it's only them that can liberate themselves. Gambians can only liberate Gambians because of the corruptions that is happening there, because our peoples are dying in hospital. I have a sister today who has a husband who's sick, and they are sleeping outside in the man clinic, just to take care of their husbands and their family members. The nurses, if there's anything to take care of the patient, the nurses will go out and call them to go and take care of the patients inside. That's what is happening in the Gambia, and any of us can be affected because we are not coming together to stand as a people and liberate ourselves. We thought Barrow will do it for us. We got the parliament will going to do it. The judiciary will do it ourselves. That's not what happens in Senegal. It's the youth, it's the institutions that come up and stand for themselves, so that all these ills that are man-made happening in the Gambia are not given to us, are not on our heads because of God. It's because our own making, the leaders that are there, and we are not holding them accountable. Thank you all.
Just to go,
go ahead, Brother Ben.
I need to drop this. You see, if we have to determine something, we have to measure it. And one other thing that Sonko have done is making sure Pastef have a candidate, and that have proven that for them being in leadership is not about becoming the president. They have proven that it's about bringing about a change and leading a project. If Sonko was selfish, he would have been concentrating on himself, what come may what to be the candidate. Yes. But he have been very pragmatic and decisive in making sure there is a succession plan. There is someone to replace, not only one person, but he had almost 4 to 5 people that he earmarked that whatever they do will have a leadership to this thing. And this is a failure in the Gambia we don't have. In none of our political parties have not been competently handling a succession plan. And this is where we fail. From Jawara to now, we have not been. And our position of leadership have to reckon to this. That's why I said the change in Senegal is leadership-led. That's why we have hope in that. And if we want that change in the Gambia, will be leadership-led, not to be reactionary, to be emotional about it, or anything else. It takes far more. It's not about the age of the people only. It's about a lot more. To bring about change. It's hard work.
It's about a lot more. Thank you to our boss and CEO, Janneh, who is our producer today, and the whole team of Gunjur Online, and all our viewers. Ramadan Mubarak to you. And, until we come back again and discuss more issues concerning our SeneGambian region and Africa as a whole. Thank you so much once again. Greetings to all of you.